Hi everyone, welcome to Jonny Builds. I'm your host Jonny, of course, and today, well, I don't have much for you because as you can see, the AT-AT is complete. Yeah, it's a little bit underwhelming. Just kidding. Obviously that's not what it is. Our AT-AT is, of course, this big giant thing that Pixie is looking at now as I put it in front of her. Pixie Cam is working. She came up here about a half hour ago and was like all getting snuggled in and stuff. So now she gets to look at all the different things I have here. So obviously we have built the first box. It is complete and done, and we are on to box number 2. So box number 2 starts the legs, or the lower legs, which would be all 4 feet and I guess the calves, because we've already done the thighs and I guess you could say the hips and the torso area. So that is what box number 2 will be. So because, and I'm going to set this aside because we won't be using this tonight. Actually, I'm going to put it, I'm trying to see where it'll go best. There you go, Pixie. You can enjoy that. Because of how it works and it goes in stages, we're going to use box number 2. I'm going to start the timer when I start opening box number 2. I think it's fair to start that because it is part of the build process, is opening everything. So I will start the timer for that and then get started with opening box number 2, which is over behind me. So you'll hear some rustling around and stuff like that as I get the pieces out and find the proper parts, proper bags to go with, because these will be bags 5. So that's what we'll be starting with. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, and our timer has begun. And here we go. I got to move box number 1 out of the way. There it is. Empty box number 1. We've completed, and now we are on to number 2. Alright, so same as with the first one we did, which was several weeks ago now. I'm just going to slice the little tabs here and open it up. Now, Pixie really likes this part. In fact, she likes the boxes. Like, I have them sitting over on my floor, and she really enjoys trying to get into them and see what's in them. So that's bag 7. We're not going to use that tonight. There's 6, or one of the 6s. There's another 6. There's another 7. Another 7. Another 6. Or it could be a 9, but I believe that's a 6. Oh, Pixie's trying to find a way out. She doesn't like the... Go ahead. Go ahead. Jump. I know you're trying to get down, but I moved the cart, huh? Here you go. Here you go. You want to get out? Go ahead. She's like, I'm unsure about this right now. Here she goes. Alright, there we go. We got our first bag 5. Put that over there. Another bag 5. Another bag 5. I have a feeling, because we're starting with the feet, there's going to be a lot of... Another bag 7. We're going to be starting with a lot of little pieces and stuff, because it's establishing the base. And that one's right in front of the camera, huh? Yep. And another bag 5. That is a lot for bag 5. This is going to be a long build. And of course, we have this. We have our folder that has the instructions. So let me put the other bags back in that I don't need tonight. I'm going to try to put them in an order so that 6s are on top. So put 7s in first. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll work, but try to be a little bit organized. And sure you can hear, but Legos are loud. Alright. There we go. Those are out of the way. We're going to put him back down over here. And so we got 4 bags, which I'm sure the bigger bags have a smaller bag in them. So 4 bags for bag number 5. Hi everybody. I see people joining the channel. Thanks for coming to watch. I'm getting started on the feet of the AT-AT. And the way I'm going to be doing this, simply because of the way I like to build Legos when it comes to multiple parts, such as a 2X, 3X, whatever, I'm going to build all 4 feet all at the same time. Doesn't mean that the rest of the leg will go together like that, simply because when I did this part, it was opposite legs, so the feet are all going to look the same, but then there's probably going to be parts of them that are not the same, or there will be 2 that are the same and 2 that are slightly opposite or whatever. Hi, you are. How you doing tonight? Oh man, this has a lot of colors. This is going to be definitely colorful building tonight. But of course, everything gets encased in gray eventually. But everything underneath is going to be colored so that it's easier to see, because if it was all in gray, then the instructions would just be impossible to follow. So it's smart that LEGO does it that way. Alright, all this back here. And for anyone that doesn't know, this cart back here that I'm using is my special LEGO droid, L3G0, if you can't figure that out. Hey, Dan. He's starting down the path. That is fantastic. Either Legos or college. I would have to say Legos are much more cost effective. College is a good bit expensive. So, I hope he's enjoying watching. We're just getting started on the feet, and I'm opening the instruction book. So, this is instruction book number 2. Alright, here we go. We are doing feet first, and we'll slowly build up to ankles and calves and everything. So there's stuff in here. Each book has different things about how they build. Actually, we get a little preview of how the feet are actually gonna kind of go together. So that's kind of neat. So onwards and upwards, right? Alright. So starting with, so yeah, it looks like we do, so the bottom part of the feet are bag 5. That's what we're doing tonight. So we're going to do all 4 at once. And then same here, bag 6 doesn't look like there's as many. It's the coverings, so to speak. And then the rest is going to be the parts that connect to the parts we've already done here. So, alright, so since we're doing this 4 times, away we start. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, the timer's already been going forever, so what, 6 minutes just to do all that. If I was doing a rush build, of course, I would go much faster, but I'm not rushing. I'm just enjoying, because this is going to be fantastic. Alright. So already I can see how we're doing the structure of the bottom of the feet. Because this is going to be, this is like the first flap that, you know, like the toe flaps or whatever that you see. They'll be covered because they won't be white. But so we need 8 of these now. 4 times 2. My cat is running around getting into things. Actually playing with something. I wonder if it's one of the wrappers fell on the floor. She is enjoying herself. Hi Oliver, how are you doing? Hope you're having a great day. and you get to enjoy watching some Legos be built, and someday you'll get to do the same thing, right? Tell your dad that you want to save your money so that you can get these bigger sets, because they are a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun building these. There's a lot of just intricacy. The way they've been designed just comes together so nicely. Alright, so we're going to finish off this part and go on to flip all these over. Doesn't really matter which way they're oriented because all these are going to get filled in. I'm going to do each of these one at a time just because it'll be easier. The nice thing is as you put these pieces on, they kind of straighten out because they are a little bit off kilter, so to speak. I did read one thing about the AT-AT, that when they were putting it together, and this is in the instruction manual, they have little anecdotes and things about whenever they were designing it and putting things together, that they were having an issue where, because Legos tend to be very smooth, even with the studs, even if you flip it over on the studs, here I'll show you, it slides very well, see? So because of that, they had to figure out a way to make it so, like, you gotta figure this thing's giant, this thing weighs a good 20-ish pounds when it's all done, and so all that weight is going to be on these 4 feet. And because of that, the tendency of it was even, I mean, like, all that weight, if you had something that like suddenly slips, it could take off and be in a bad way. So they figured out, and we'll find out whenever we get to that part, they figured out a neat way to make it so that the feet stay where they're supposed to be. Oh, 8 of these per foot. Okay. So they figured out a really unique way to make it so that the feet stay where they're placed whenever they're on the ground, so that there's no slippage. So we'll get to find out as we put these together. Alright, that one's done. Next 8 pieces. Actually, that brings up an interesting point, Dan. I don't know, I mean, like, I know there's architecture degrees and all kinds of, different modeling degrees and stuff. I wonder if there is, it's probably just a general engineering or modeling, 3D modeling degree or something like that. I wonder if there is some kind of degree for Lego building, because it's no laughing matter. It really is a feat of engineering when they figure out how to make things work properly. For instance, my Voltron, let me finish this up, actually I'll bring it over. My Voltron, they had to figure out, first of all, how to make it so that the central line, the black line, was able to keep all the other lines posed. So in other words, they start off as lines, you can transform them all into the robot pieces and form the robot. Here, I'm going to move these out of the way. So they had to figure out how to, let me get this over here. They had to figure out how to make it so all these different parts were posable, but again, weight comes into consideration, how to make it so they were stiff. you know, so things could happen where like the arms move and things like that. So, I mean, it's possible it is in-house, I don't know. But the other thing too is also, if you look at these legs down here, see how they're slightly bent? They have a kind of an angle to them. They're not straight. That was something that also that they did, and I think with this they learned from doing Voltron how to make it so he doesn't slip, because if you see, he doesn't slip at all because he's got rubber tires right here. Just one on each foot. That's it. But it keeps him from slipping accidentally. So, but yeah, engineering definitely goes into making these because Legos are strong. As I've said before, next page. As I've said before, if you watch Lego Masters, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it. I bet you Oliver would love watching Lego Masters. And just the massive sets that they create. Not sets, but the models that they create. Lego Masters, they talk about the Technic pieces, which you see here. There's Technic pieces all within the structure here that are help supporting the main body of this thing. And there's Technic pieces all within. See, this is something within here that is going to go with, you know, within the feet even. And all the Technic pieces are designed to help with strength. Computer engineering degree is required, or is recommended but not required, which is funny because that's essentially what I have. I made my own degree, computer science and electrical engineering, so I could have a computer engineering degree. So technically, I could be a Lego master. Thank you for that research. And I'm missing the last foot part, unless I brought it out already. I don't think I did. So yeah, but anyway, it is a large, there it is, it's hiding. It is a large amount of skill required to do this. Man, those are looking big already. Alright, and, oh geez, tiny pieces. So, 2, 3, 4, these are all 1x1s. 5, 6. So each one of these needs 8. So that is 32 of these suckers, which is insane. But that's kind of why it's a little bit more efficient to do it 4 at a time, or however many at a time, in this case 4. I mean, that is something I would definitely enjoy doing. I've been building Legos for quite a long time, and I mean, while these sets are a challenge, I mean, just because of their size and everything, I don't feel like I expend a lot of energy like trying to figure anything out or whatever. I'm sure that's the same for most of the people that buy these sets, because I mean, they are designed for adults. But I'm sure other people would, I mean, like I've seen people struggle with just the tiny sets, like trying to figure out what goes where. There is a certain amount of, and I guess that's why a computer engineering degree helps, but there's a certain amount of spatial relations that you have to keep track of and everything. It's all about being able to orient 3D stuff in your head. Because even though the instructions show you what goes where, you still mentally have to picture, or take the picture from here and put it here. So I can see how an analytical mind is useful, but at the same time, a creative mind is useful too. An imaginative mind is going to be useful. Alright, last 8, and this is probably the last of these pieces that are here, because I'm pretty much cleaning them out. 6, 7, and the last one. Where's the last little piece? It's hiding somewhere. There it is. I think Pixie got stuck. Let me open the door a crack so that she can get out. You trying to get out? No? There you go. Alright. There you go. Back to building. Alright. So, did that. Alright, now... Alright. For each foot, there's going to be 4 of these, and 4 of the opposite ones. Man, we've got a lot of pieces. A lot of little pieces. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have to do this kind of in an organized, somewhat organized way. That one's for the next one. As I find them, I'm going to have to... I see how they're separated. So these ones are in with the yellow pieces over here. I move that out of the way. These ones, this side, is over here on this side, and these ones, the opposite side, are over here in the yellows. So that's how we... Let's make sure I do this right. What was I talking about? Oh, computer engineering and stuff. So I did a degree. I made my own because my college didn't have it. I made my own computer engineering degree, essentially with electrical engineering and computer science. So could potentially be a Lego master, a Lego designer. Oh, talking about the Lego Masters and like technique and structure and everything. So what they show a lot of time, they did in season 2, one of the things that they did was they did a couple different strength ones. One of them was towers that they tried to shake apart. Another one was wind power. They did like windmills, and they upped it to, I think it was like 50 miles or 30 miles an hour maybe. Can't remember, but they upped it that high just to see if the Lego structure could stay intact or if it would fly apart, you know, how quickly. But the impressive one was using Lego studs. And I'll show you what I mean. See if I have it. Yeah, I can use this. So they would take this. Okay, this is I'm hiding the curve piece. It's a 2 by 1. Okay, and they had a bunch of these just laid out on a wall that they created. And from I think it was like 10 points that are just this high or this thick, they had to create a structure as long as they could. And I think they got out to like 15 feet or something like that. Was the longest. And they, of course, not only had to make something really long, but they had to give it a theme. Yeah, they had to give it a theme of some kind, which is doubly hard, because not only are you creating something that has to be sturdy and strong, but like it has to have a story with it and everything. That's always a big thing with Lego, is telling a story. And what they came up with a lot of those was just absolutely phenomenal. Very impressive. Now, I don't doubt I could come up with a story, but in the amount of time that they do all this stuff, some of them are like 16 hours, some of them are like 8 hours, some are 10. You know, it just depends. I don't know if I could do that, even with a partner. I just don't know if I would have it in me. So that show probably is not for me. However, being able to design something like this, figure out the logistics, I mean, something this massive in size, huge, I should say. All right, easy, very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Nice, easy step. Now, one thing I want to make sure I do as I do these bottom parts is make sure that everything is pressed down so nothing's like raised up slightly or whatever, which can screw things up later. Alright, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these green. Goes in the center of each one. And 8 of these blues for each foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. And these go right on the edges here. Yeah, I've said this before on builds, or it may have been on the very first episode of doing the AT-AT, but when they did the first season of Lego Masters, I completely disagreed with who won the finale. The couple that won it, I mean, like their thing looked pretty cool and stuff, but nowhere near as, at least in my mind, nowhere near as cool or as well designed or built or whatever as I guess I call them the lumberjacks. They look kind of how I look, but they're the lumberjack builders, I guess, or whatever. Alright. 8 more for the next foot. 5, 6, 7. Whoops. Drop one. Yeah, it's really interesting how you can do insanely strong structures with both Technics and regular Lego pieces. Because this actually, the legs here that I did last week actually have Technic pieces that they come together with, but also regular pieces that kind of snap onto each other that make it even stronger. So that combination of different things really makes it, and that's how Lego can be built to some of the large things that you sometimes see. I remember growing up, back when Kmart actually still existed, way back in the 80s, our local Kmart, and they were taking this to different Kmarts. And let's see, 4 of those for each foot. It was a giant red hippo with a surfboard, and it was a contest. They did this periodically, but that's the one I remember the most. He had a big funny grin, he had sunglasses, and the idea was it was a contest to guess how many Lego pieces it took to build him. And of course, something like that, I mean, they don't want you to touch it, but they all have like metal framing within them a lot of times to help with the support, because again, you can do some very impressive things with Lego and it's pretty strong, but there gets to be a point where the weight of it just is too much. I saw one video where that was a time lapse of them doing a giant Voltron, and they started off with like the feet, just the very bottom of the feet. And it's funny too how they do it, because when they take it somewhere, the people that do the actual master building, like actually create the thing, they design it obviously in whatever the Lego studio is that they're doing things, and then they basically have to have instruction, and the instruction sheet was enormous, but they have to have instructions printed out so that the people that are taking it to whatever location can rebuild it. And they actually, in the time lapse, you can tell that they did some things wrong and they had to go back and redo them. But I think it was a Voltron, it might have been a Gundam, something like that. But anyway, so they started off with the feet, and of course they come in sections, they're not building it, you know, one Lego at a time. That's what the master builders did. but they start off with like the feet section, and then this metal frame goes on top, and it kind of bolts, but at the same time the Legos are used around it to secure it. And then they start taking the leg sections and putting it up around the metal frame, and slowly build it up. It's really, really, really cool. All right, more covering. In fact, we're going to be covering the feet now, right up. Make sure I put this in the right spot. While I'm at it, I'll just do, what are these, 3x3s? 3x2s, 3x2s. There we go. Alright, so now we do the next one. Oh, I forgot to do, missed a foot. Forgot to put these little black things in. There we go. So the shape of this thing is definitely easy to tell. I still do find it amusing, all the colors that are used. That are then hidden, but again, these models are so massive. You're gonna have coverings, so it makes sense to do it this way. It just makes building a little bit easier because there are so many pieces. These are already feeling, I mean, like, they're not heavy, but they're already feeling decently solid, which is nice. And of course they have to be, because they're holding a lot of weight. The weight is distributed a little bit off too, since with this is the back end. The head will be up here, which hangs out a little bit, so there's going to be a little bit more weight here, because the top is going to be, I'm trying to think, it's going to pretty much cover and be balanced, but the head's going to be up front, so the front feet are going to have a little bit more weight on them. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 more of these dark grays per foot. And forgot one. It's kind of funny doing a little roulette with them. So can kind of see light at the end of the bag, so to speak, with these. It's not too exciting when you're doing structure and it's not quite looking like the final product, but it's going to be really, really cool. In fact, like I said in the last thing, I mean, with how big this is already, you can see how it fits onto the screen. It's going to get raised up probably about this high, which means, as you can see, it's off camera. So as this thing gets built, I'm gonna have to adjust the camera so everything fits. Otherwise, you won't be able to see anything. All right, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 per foot. These. Now this is interesting. I'll show you a close-up. So whenever you put these pieces on, it's kind of hard to see. There we go, because of the light. When you put these pieces on, they are now they're separate pieces, but they come together so that you can have three things. Well, you can go higher, but it's three studs high that you can lock everything together. So helps increase the strength as you're putting pieces together. And oh no, I was slightly incorrect. So there's 3 and then a red and 2 yellows. I've never seen yellow pieces, these yellows before, not like this. These are interesting because they're 1 and then I've seen these before plenty of times. So there is a slight difference on each foot. Okay. But we are getting down piecewise. Like I said, I see the light at the end of the bags. These for this one, and we're sitting at 34, almost 35 minutes. So moving along pretty well. Again, I'm not rushing. I'm not trying to make this go quickly or do a time. If I was doing a time thing, like I would just be going. And I did that picture-wise with the Millennium Falcon, but being that I had to stop and keep taking pictures, that made it so it was not. That made it so it was not the fastest build it could have been. So that is one thing I am going to redo. I really, really, really want to do a live unbuild. I've mentioned this before, but basically reverse building the Millennium Falcon, because that was the first really, really, really large set. I mean, at the time, it was the set with the most Lego pieces ever that was commercially available. It has since been surpassed by, I think, the Colosseum, only because of the fact that the Colosseum is smaller and has a ton of little pieces. So I still think the Falcon, for its size and everything, has the most. But anyway, I really want to build that one live, but to do that, I have to take it apart. Ah, easy bricks. Look at this. I like that. I like whenever you do lots of detail work and stuff, and then out of nowhere they're like, standard Lego brick, 4x2, not flat. It's nice whenever you can do that. But doing an unbuild, so to speak, is something I've never. I mean, like with these bigger sets, like I have the. I don't know if the Titanic's bigger. I know for sure the Colosseum is. I don't know if the Titanic has more pieces. The Falcon has a little bit over 7,500. Since you did research, let's see if she can research and find out how many pieces the Titanic has. The Titanic is definitely pretty big. Alright, so all of these, we're going to face them all the same way, because the instructions, just because this one is unique. Alright, so we're going to do this in the front. So this is a unique thing. I know from the way the AT-ATs look. They have, on each of their feet, they have kind of like a vein or whatever that connects up to the rest of it, so when it lifts, it doesn't quite move too far. So that's what I think this is. And that's why it looks a little bit different than the rest. Yeah, the Colosseum, I think, just again because of all the small pieces, has 9,000, over 9,000, I think. But like, you don't even have, I don't think it even comes with minifigures or anything. So, but I'm not 100% sure. It's just a model. Hey, what are you doing? Sorry, I'm not yelling at you guys. I'm yelling at Pixie as she's trying to come through. Hi. You watching me build? You want to go back to bed? Here. Come on. Yeah, now I'm not crinkling bags, so she's happier now. So she goes back. She goes to Pixie Cam. All right, where was I? Okay, I was here. So I need one of these little things, and there's one of that. Oops. Almost lost that. That is not how that goes on. It goes on this way. That's kind of interesting. Okay. 3 more times for that. 9. Yep, I thought so. 9,009 for the Colosseum. And how many for the Titanic? Or is that for the Titanic? I mean, that very well could be. I would look it up myself, but I don't have my keyboard in front of me because that would just get in the way. Alright, got these little joint pieces, little stick out things that's going to have something that goes. Oh, okay, so the Colosseum is 9,036 and then the Titanic is at 9,090. That is interesting. I did not know that that had surpassed anything. Very cool. Thanks for finding that out. Yeah, I mean, again, the Titanic, of course, is I mean, it's a big boat and it's going to be a fairly solid structure, where you have something like this where it's solid in places, but it's also cavernous because, I mean, the figures can go in there and stuff like that. So, in a sense, I think things like the Colosseum or the Titanic, they kind of cheat because you don't put figures into it and stuff. Whereas this one is really cool simply because it is Lego life size, and the number of figures, or humans if you were doing life size, the number of figures that can go into it is exactly how many can go into it, quote unquote, in real life, which I think is really cool. Alright, we're on ooh, now we're starting to get to a lot of covering, and over here we're going to see where we actually put the thing that keeps it from slipping. It looks like it is a tire, just like Voltron has. Alright, a bunch of these things. So I think that makes, I swear that there's a Lego set, the Taj Mahal, that has a lot too. But it was claimed when the Falcon came out it had the most. At 75, over 7,500, it wasn't much more. But, and then of course the Colosseum came out next, and tons of little 1x1s, 1x2s, lots of flat pieces and stuff. It's not that big. I think it's about yay big. And then the Titanic, of course, is going to be, you know, quite large. But that's all right. All right, 2 times on each, 1 on each side. Gonna get the right smooth pieces. These are little ones. do like how, like, if you build a typical Lego set, at least up until, I guess, within the last, let's say 10 years, because I've been building Legos for, well, since I can remember, which was over 40 years ago. Back then, I mean, when Legos were still in their infancy, I think I really started building when they were on, like, I don't want to say phase 2, but like iteration 2. Like, I never got into Legos whenever they very first came out. Back whenever they had Space, Town, and Castle. That's all they had. And Castle was really funny because it was lots of yellow pieces. Lots of pieces like this, only bigger. They were all blocks because that's what Lego had for the most part. But the figures look cool. But the castles were yellow. Town was, I think we had one of the first Town stuff though, with the police station and like a hotel and a car fix-it shop or restaurant or something like that. And then Space we didn't get at first. So we started doing Space Legos, which is my favorite, when we hit, I guess, iteration 2 or wave 2 or whatever you want to call it. We're doing 3 of these per foot, so. So. Put these around. They're a little bit different than the ones we just did, simply because they don't have that rib there. Hi, Jerry. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That's cheating too. The Lego art map is dumb. To say it has the most pieces, simply because it is only studs. I mean, like, there's actually pieces that you, because I have the Sith, it's over there, and I'll show that next time, because it's a pain to try to get to right now. But all it is a large bunch of flats that you put together, Technic pieces that go around and help put it together, and then it's all studs, and it takes a vast amount of studs to do the mosaics, of course. And it's just insane that it's that big. And to say that it has the most pieces is kind of just silly, because they're all just little tiny pieces. Oh, so the AT-AT. Well, I was told by my Garrison people, they're like, no, it's AT-AT. You have to say AT-AT. Why, I don't know, but they did. But so the AT-AT is 5th largest, Falcon is 4th. Cool. Oops. Must made that one come off. Alright. Getting down to the wire here with these. Because we're pretty much all done. What are we at time-wise? 46. Not bad at all. Thought it was going to take a little bit longer than that, but... yeah, the Falcon is going to be a lot of fun, I think, to do an unbuild and then rebuild it. And in fact, because I did the Falcon kind of slow with taking pictures of it when I was doing it, I'm gonna make that one. I think I'm gonna make that one an all-day stream and just do it. You know, I did that with the Y-wing, and that was fun. Last year on May the 4th be with you, and maybe I'll do that. I mean, I'll be done with this. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the monorail. I always wanted the space monorail, and I never got it. It was always sold out. Would have loved to have that. That's one of the ones that got away. I don't know if it's just ATST. That's the funny thing, because I guess Star Wars nerds call it AT-AT, but it's still an ATST because you can't. I mean AT, I mean or AT, it just doesn't work. So I don't know. But yeah, I think I'll do for May the 4th this year. I'll do non-stop, just building the Falcon once I do an unbuild. So if I can, I mean this one will be done. Well, I don't know. It depends. We're already into middle of January. I guess we'll see what happens. I do have lots of other sets I could build, so and I'm sure they're going to come out with something prior to May the 4th. They always do. Maybe I'll build Luke's lightsaber, which I got with this. Okay, so we're going to finish up with doing these tires. Kind of neat looking how they want them to go together. So put that end on and then pop it on. There we go. There's a tire. So all these go underneath, upside down. It doesn't matter if they spin or whatever, but just that, oh man, just that little bit, the rubber barely, it's so hard to tell, the rubber barely touches, but it's out just enough that it doesn't slide. Whereas that slides just fine. But this, oh man, that's yeah, an unbuild. So in other words, I have the Millennium Falcon. It is built, and I built it before I was really doing live streaming and stuff, and I just took pictures of it. So yeah, well, they don't call it Slave 1 anymore, which really is stupid, but PC and everything. But they, so I did the Millennium Falcon prior to really live streaming. So it's built, so in order to get it unbuilt, well, I have to do an unbuild, and I've never done that before. I mean, like, I've done these big sets and kept them together. So this would be a first to do, and I've never seen, like, I've seen a lot of people do builds. I've seen a lot of people build big sets, little sets, all kinds of things, but I've never seen them go, whoops, that one didn't stay in there. I've never seen them go the opposite way. So I think it would be really unique and cool to do, because you just don't see that. Ah, that's so funny. Just that little bit keeps them from moving. And we are finishing. Once I put this last piece in, I will stop the timer. And done. There we go. What did we stop at? 50:48. Awesome. Alright, so I actually got those done a lot quicker than I thought I would. So let's look. So partially the foot has some of the smooth parts on it that's going to cover up, and they've got this little thing here that's going to have like a vein that connects. Let me see if actually I can find a picture. It's hard to see there. Well, later on the instructions, I'm sure we'll see it. There it is. So this little vein here pops up and connects, essentially it connects the foot to the rest of the leg. It helps keep it from flopping around and stuff when it lifts up. So they thought of, I mean, George Lucas thought of things whenever they were creating these things. They thought of how everything was going to logistically work and everything like that. So yeah, so those are bags 5. So kind of visualizing how these are going to go, because they won't get too much higher, probably about like this, and then the leg will come up probably about as long as these are. So it's something like that, maybe a little higher. Yeah, this thing's going to be quite large. Alright, well, that's it for this week. Thanks very much for joining me. It was a lot of fun to do. What's Achilles? 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 It is Achilles. wasn't sure what you're referring to. Yeah, I really would. The Lego monorail would have been really cool, especially as a when it came out, being younger and stuff. Like we would have Lego sets everywhere, just built up. And I mean, like we had towns, we had oh, the the Achilles tendon. Yeah, that's I guess that could be. Yeah, that very well could be the Achilles tendon. If that's what he's referring to, yeah. But yeah, we had, like I said, it started off just castle, space, and town, and we really focused on the space stuff. But we did have some town. Never got into the castle stuff. I don't know why, just never did. But town we did some. Yeah, that's what Dan was saying. That's funny. Space is the really big one because we all started with our decently sized Lego spaceships and stuff, and we would destroy them and rebuild them and stuff. So it's something I've never done with a big set. So, yep, we have finished for tonight. Thanks for watching and tuning in, everyone. And if you wish, subscribe. It helps me out a little bit, and trying to build the channel and everything like that. But I appreciate everyone hanging out and stuff. Had a lot of fun chatting with you guys as we did this, and made the time go by really quick. Next Tuesday we'll continue on to bags number 6. Have a good night, take care, and keep building.